All right, so they give us this equation. They want us to solve by the quadratic formula. So let me bring it down here for us. 4p squared plus p plus 16 equals 8. Here is the wall of separation. And all right, so how do we do it? So solving p squared and p to the first, or regular p. What do you do? So step number one, you've got to get a 0 on one side. So got to get a 0. So therefore, I'm just going to subtract 8 from both sides. And notice that'll give us our 0, which we wanted. And the other side, what is it going to be? 4p squared plus p, and this will be plus 8, right? 16 minus 8 is 8. It's positive 8. All right, now we're good to there. Step 2, identify A, B, and C. So here's A is the first number. Now what's B? B, there's no number in front of my P in the middle there. So we know what that means. It's not the first time we've had this. Whenever you have a letter, an X or a P or anything, with no number in front, what number is really there? 1, huh? It's really positive 1, isn't it? Right? We've done that before. Like we'll have X plus 3X, and I'll say, well, that's really a 1X. So 1X and 3X is 4X, right? We've done that before. So there's no number in front. That just means there's one of them, right? If there's nothing in front of that P, that means there's one P. There's a single P. All right, so, and then our C is the 8. So we got our A, B, and C, and now we plug in. So step 3 is the quadratic formula. So, all right, the quadratic formula. Here's negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, let's do it. And so I'm going to go, now remember when you plug into the quadratic formula, you put parentheses around everything you're plugging in. So I'm going to plug in right there for b, and right there for b. So I get negative, and then you get, what is b? B is itself 1 plus or minus. And then b squared, 1 squared minus 4 times a is also 4, times c, which is 8, all over 2 times a, and a is 4, just like that. You just plug everything in with parentheses around them as you plug them in. Let's keep going. So now, what do we have? Negative 1 plus or minus. 1 squared is just 1. 1 times 1, right? That just means 1 times 1, which is 1, right? They're multiplied, not added, right? So it's 1 times 1. Minus 4 times 4 times 8. So that's going to be, what's that? 16 times 8, that's 128. All over 2 times 4 is 8. Like that. Okay, keep going. That's going to be, oops. Negative 1 plus or minus square root of. Now, if you subtract those, you get negative 127. Like that. So I just did 1 minus 128. It's negative 127. Now, we've got a negative inside of a square root. Remember what that always means. Negative in a root goes outside as an I. So you grab that negative and you move it right to the front of the root as an I. Like that. And the negative's gone. So then that leaves us with negative 1 plus or minus I in the front, 127 on the inside with an 8. Does that make sense? So that's the kind of weird step there. So whenever you have a negative inside of a square root, we can't have it. It's imaginary. It's not real. So whenever you have a negative inside of the square root, you can't have that. It must go outside and becomes an I. What we're basically saying is this isn't real. This is an imaginary square root of 127 because you can't take the square root of negative 127. So we just send it out, say it's I, it's an imaginary square root of 127, and then you just write your two answers. Separated, by a comma. So we say, oh, okay. So it's going to be, oops, 2 on there. So we say, okay, it is -1 plus or minus, whoops, I'm not very much room there. Try that again. -1 plus or minus I square root of 127 over 8, comma, and then -1 plus or minus, oh wait, not plus or minus, why am I doing that? That's the whole point, huh? -1 plus, and then this other one will be -1 minus. There we go, I'm being a little crazy. There it is, there's the two separate answers. So we have, right, we did the plus and the minus options there. We did the plus right there. We did the minus right there. So that's how we always finish it up. We separate those into the two different answers, just like that. There we go.